Alright, g'day turkeys. Today we're going to be running you through the 12 volt mistakes that 99% of you make. Hear it all the time. It's totally wrong. It's total BS. Companies shouldn't even be selling that as an option because it's never going to work. The reason I think that is bullshit, plus covering the common misconceptions with 12 volt systems, uncovering some myths, and we're going to be showing you the secret to setting up your 12 volt system properly to your very needs. This video is going to cover everything from caravans, boats, cars, buses, whatever you can apply this to. It's stuff they don't teach you in bloody school, I can tell you that much. So let's get inside and we'll start cracking on. We've been doing a lot of giveaways lately, and that is because we want to give back to you guys. But this episode, we're actually giving away a battery worth $1,000. So ITECHWORLD have been nice enough to allow us to do this giveaway, and to enter is absolutely free. One of the things you have to do to enter is subscribe, so go ahead and do that now. Somewhere in the video, I'm going to drop in the other step that you have to do to enter this giveaway. It's going to be for a limited time, and you've got a high chance of winning. You could win yourself an ITECH 120X lithium battery. Rightio guys, before we get into the video, I'm very excited to do that, but there's a full disclaimer here. I am a fully qualified electrician, and we have been living in a caravan for the last 2 and a bit years around Australia, so I know I'm very qualified to talk about this sort of thing, but this video is for entertainment purposes only. Just remember, anyone can pick up a camera, even you, and upload a video to YouTube. It doesn't always mean they know exactly what they're talking about. And with 12 volt systems, 240 volt systems, anything to do with electricity, it is very important that you listen to the people that are qualified, that can talk about it, and not someone that's going to mislead you. And just remember, always seek professional advice before you do anything to do with electricity. Thought I'd throw that in there, guys. Let's crack onto the common misconceptions. These ones are pretty controversial, and it's probably not what people have told you before, so let's crack onto that. All right guys, our electrical system is under our bed, fully legal. A lot of people are saying this isn't legal anymore. It 100% is. That rule's not come in, and like I said, things get posted on Facebook, and then someone reads it, tells their mate's Mrs. Brother, and then all of a sudden it's a true fact and everyone knows about it. So like I said, Facebook and stuff isn't the best thing to rely on for facts and stuff, so seek professional advice when it comes to anything electrical. I'll reiterate that. So come down here, I'm going to show you our 12 volt system before we crack on with misconceptions. It's real important that you see what we have and what we've designed for our needs, and then I'll start to talk about how we can help you and get the most out of your 12 volt system. So let's get into that. So this is our system. It's predominantly ITECHWORLD. A lot of the products we'll talk about today are 100% affordable for everyone. I won't talk about anything that's out of reach for people, because we're all about keeping it cheap, simple, easy, and effective too. This is our system here. 600 amp hours of lithium batteries. We've got 1050 watts of solar on the roof, and I'm going to run through the charges and how we distribute that smartly so we get the most out of our system. We're running a BM Pro front end, so that's the 35HA charger. That's for our 240 volt, and that communicates through the Bluetooth comm link to our Odyssey front end screen on our caravan. All right, first common misconception. This one's a huge one. You hear it all the time. It's totally wrong. It's total BS. First misconception: the batteries are the heart of your 12 volt system. Everyone says, oh, this is the heart of the 12 volt system. I've actually been guilty of saying that before. I don't mean it in a literal sense. It's just the biggest part of the system. However, solar is far more important than how you store the energy. These boxy things here, without making it too complicated, all they're doing is storing the electricity. If you can't actually capture the electricity, there's no point even having these. So you see these people putting 900 amp hour systems in their caravan, they've got 600 watts of solar. It's just not going to work. Companies shouldn't even be selling that as an option because it's never going to work. So when people tell you they've got this massive system, doesn't mean anything, you know, like it just is, the batteries are just there to store the energy. If you can't capture it, it means absolutely nothing. So solar is king. Solar is the heart of your system. And a general rule of thumb that we apply, which we will cover later, I'll put it into a real life situation and break it down for you why I think this. I haven't pulled this number out of my head. This is after years and years of knowing this stuff. I've come up with a 2-to-1 ratio. So for every 2 watts of solar, you have 1 amp hour of battery. So technically we're undergun with the 1050 watts of solar, 600 amp hours. Technically we should have over 1200 watts of solar for this to be a balanced system in my point of view. However, the roof real estate that we've got is just not there to have that 1200 watts of solar. So we carry an extra solar blanket outside. It's a 300 watt ITECH blanket, and we get an extra 17.5 amps out of that in full sun. When it's fully cleaned and everything, 17.5 amps. So that bumps us up to that healthy charge rate, or else we would have a system that's overgunned on the battery side. So That's the first misconception. The batteries mean nothing if you can't capture the electricity. Misconception number 2, solar means absolutely nothing. So what I just said gets thrown out the window if you can't actually regulate that solar and turn it into actual usable charge for your batteries, because a solar panel puts an output of around 22 volts. An average, some are a little bit higher, some are a lot lower, depending on the quality of panel that you've got. So 22 volts is far too high to be pumping straight into a lithium battery. It'll damage the cells. Prismatic cells will even get damaged. They're no good. So you need to regulate that charge. So you need a solar regulator that's going to give you the most bang for your buck, essentially. Now, we rely on MPPT chargers. That's our go-to. There's a lot of people that use a pulse width modulating regulator. Totally different setup. We've covered that in other videos, which I'll link after this video. We choose MPPTs, max power point tracking regulators, and it's important that you know the max input into a charger like that. So we're running two 40 amp chargers. So technically we can have up to 80 amps coming from the solar. However, 1050 watts is going to give you around 55 amps. We get around 11 amps per panel in full optimal sun. So we've got 80, so we're well overdone there. So with our infrastructure here, our regulators, we can have up to 8 panels, give or take. So we've got the infrastructure here to allow for even more panels, but that's important. There's no point having 5 panels if your solar regulator can only regulate 3 of those panels. You're maxing it out, there's no point. And solar regulators are dirt cheap compared to our solar panels. So you might as well overgun your regulators and have your system running really efficiently. The issue with this industry that we're in now is that people are trying to sell you options that they're going to make a lot of money from. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing for you. So another really common misconception is, hey expert, I'm talking to an expert here.
I want to go off-grid for longer. What do I need to extend my stay while I'm off-grid camping with the family, whether that's on school holidays or for full-time use, whatever it is.
The expert will always turn around and tell you that you need another battery. Now, the reason they tell you that, right, is because a battery is far more expensive than a solar panel. Their margin on a battery will be a lot higher than on a solar panel. They're going to make more money out of you from buying a battery than a solar panel. I'm here to save you some money. I'll tell you the opposite because of that first misconception. Solar is king, right? The battery side of thing, it's all good and well having a ways to store that energy, but there's no point unless you can replenish it. So if you want to stay off grid for longer, all you need to do is get extra solar. And I guarantee you that is the cheapest, most simple and easy way to stay off grid for longer is getting another solar panel. And if you want to be real lazy, all I would do is get a solar blanket. Now, a solar blanket is a thing that's flexible. You don't have to mount it. You can carry it. A lot of them fold up. I'll go outside in a minute and show you our solar blanket. They're the best ones because they plug straight in. If you have an Anderson plug connection coming off your solar regulator, you just plug it straight in and that's how you boost your time off grid. Let's go outside now and I'll talk a bit about why I reckon solar blankets are better than a fixed panel in some cases. Let's go. Okay guys, we're outside now and I'm going to explain why I think the solar blanket is the easier, cheaper, simplest way to increase your stay off grid. Excuse my voice, I've got COVID-19. The reason I like this is because it plugs straight into things. You can clip this onto your battery, given that you're regulating it. You can clip this onto batteries and charge them up. So not only are they a lot cheaper than batteries, but also they're fully portable. So as the sun is revolving around the earth, the optimal sun angle is constantly changing, especially because it's also dipping towards the horizon. So the good thing about these things is that they're flexible and they're portable. So you can actually pick them up, point them to where the sun is. Currently we're in a campsite here and it's full of trees. So all day I've been actually moving the panel so I harvest as much sun as I physically can. And that's why I think these are the best way to do it. If you have a fixed panel on your car, caravan, boat, whatever it is, wherever you've mounted that solar panel, it is fixed. So as the sun's moving, going behind trees and stuff, you're as good as boobs on a bull because that thing's not gonna get you any more charge. So this is definitely the go. I reckon everyone should own one of these things, even if it's for backup. So that's why I think they're great and they'll increase your time off grid. If you were in the market for one of these too, we do have a full discount code with ITECHWORLD. SKT will get you 5% off store-wide, and right now is the best and cheapest time to buy. End of financial year sales are on, so you're in luck. It won't be cheaper. Now's the time to buy. So SKT will save you an extra bit of money. So anyway, let's go back inside and talk about another misconception. All right, so that misconception about batteries being the easiest way to extend your stays off-grid is totally false. get a solar blanket. It's going to sort out all your needs. Only stipulation to that, so this is the only case where that actually won't help you at all, is if you don't have enough batteries to run your system at night time. So solar's only good because it's working in the daytime. If you can keep your batteries fully topped up while you're discharging off your batteries, so effectively your solar's running all your loads, your lights, your pumps and all that stuff. If you can do that, you're laughing. However, if your battery system at night can't handle your fridge running off it all night and you to wake up before there's any solar, make your coffee, turn some lights on, whatever you're doing, that's the only time where a solar blanket won't help you. However, 99% of the time, a solar blanket will help. We're not making any money off this advice, so we're all about helping you guys and saving you money, but also getting you the easiest, cheapest, simplest thing that's gonna help you the most. So anyway, let's go on to misconception number 4, or are we up to number 5? I don't know. Common misconception number 4. First massive elephant in the room. Anyone that designs 12-volt systems will say to me,
"Hey Keelan, your 240-volt charger is just not enough for 600 amp hours."
So this is a 35 amp hour charger, and the reason I think that is bullshit, it is big enough, is because proof of principle. So we've been on the road for 2 years now, and we know for a fact every time we pull up to a spot where we're plugging in the van to 240-volt power, mains power, it's for an overnight at least. You never pull up to a place for an hour at a time. So it does not matter how big your 240-volt charger is, as long as it charges your system overnight, that's all you have to do. Invest that money, save your money on a massive 240 charger, and bang it straight into solar panels, regulators, and maybe even some batteries. That's my advice anyway. So that's a massive misconception right there. It's quite controversial, but I stand behind it, I back it, and this system works an absolute treat. Controversial, common misconception, number 5 or 6 or whatever it is. Anyway, normally you can't put lithium batteries under bonnet. For many years that has been the case. They don't like heat. As we progress, mankind progressives, technologies do get better. For a long time, people say that you also not only can't put them under bonnet, but you can't charge lithium batteries off an AGM charging profile. Now, I'm not going to bore you to death. This video is designed to help you, not confuse you. So in layman's terms, the reason people don't believe in AGM drop-in replacements, because years ago that wasn't a thing. Now there is technology and BMSs, so battery management systems, that allow you to charge a lithium battery off a AGM charging profile. That's what I'm going to clear up right now. It's a massive misconception. The technology has changed. Now there's only a few companies that actually do a proper genuine AGM drop-in replacement lithium battery that is capable of being charged off a lead acid or AGM charger. So what I'm exactly saying is that you won't have to upgrade your charger to a lithium one to have lithium batteries in your setup. It is ITECHWORLD. All of their orange top batteries have a drop-in replacements, and they're all under bonnet rated. The reason I can happily say that is, one, because I understand the technical side of what's actually happening with the charging systems and charging profiles. All a charging profile is an algorithm that charger does to make sure it charges that battery cell, whether that's a lead acid, AGM or lithium cell, so it doesn't damage itself first and foremost, but you also get the most out of your battery. Now, we know the technical side behind it, like I just said, but we also know the practical sense. We actually run an ITECH 120X under bonnet all around Australia. I'm going to drop in a clip right now of us drowning our car in Nolan's Brook up at Cape York Teletrack, and the whole time we were stuck, this 120X lithium battery was under the bonnet and submerged in water for over 30 seconds.
Keelan's in the water, mate.
We popped out the other side and it was 100% fine. So for me, if you can submerge a lithium battery in a bonnet charged off a lead acid charger for 30 seconds at a time, you pop out the other side, it's 40-degree day and it's fine, and it wants to run all the way home and keep your beers cold the whole time, that is a good product. and that tells us that it actually works. It's all well and good knowing the technical backside of what's actually happening, but to prove it in the product is another thing. So I'm telling the naysayers that say they can't. A lot of people that haven't even tried to run them on a lead acid say they can't. I'm telling you, you can. The ITECH batteries are 100% AGM drop-in replacements, and they 100% work. However, do you get the top 5% out of your battery? You're probably only going to get 95% capacity. Say you've got a 100 amp hour battery, you're probably only going to get 95 amp hours out of it, but you won't even notice it in a practical sense. You won't even know that you're not getting that last 5 amps. So they 100% works. It's proven technology. That is why ITECHWORLD are offering a 5-year warranty on their batteries, meaning you can put it under bonnet, charge it off a lead acid charger, and you still get a 5-year warranty. So that is pretty much proof in the pudding. They wouldn't offer that if it couldn't happen, and we've proven it ourselves. So that is a massive misconception. AGM drop-in replacements definitely do exist. All right, so we've run you through some of the misconceptions. I've spoken through our system and how we've designed it off our personal experience traveling Australia, plus my electrical knowledge. So like I said, 600 amps of lithium, a kilowatt of solar on the roof. We've got 80 amps of MPP chargers. We've also got a 40 amp DC to DC charger. All that gear is from ITECHWORLD. We're also running their 3000 watt inverter. That allows us to run the coffee machine, the air fryer, and a few things that we'll talk about now. So, you're probably thinking to yourself,
Yeah, Keelan, that's all well and good. You're telling us all this crap, but I want to design a system that's good for me.
whether you have a bus, caravan, boat, car, whatever you got, I'm going to tell you exactly how you design your system so it's perfectly balanced for your needs. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this, and they certainly don't teach you this shit at school. So listen up, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you can do that. Let's design your system with you. I'll do it for you while we're here. I'm going to use this caravan as an example because we're standing in it and it's easy. We're going to calculate your loads, how much battery power you need, how much solar you need, and we'll go from there. This is the stuff that the experts that you go and talk to at these shops don't have time to tell you about. So strap in and we're going to explain it all now. So everyone's needs are different, especially when it comes to camping. Everyone's got different setups, yada yada. So what I need you to do while I'm talking is thinking about what stuff that you run that requires a 12 volt power system. So for us, we're running lights, water pumps, air fryers, coffee machines, anything you can poke a stick at pretty much, fridges, microwaves, bloody everything. So our baseline, we'll calculate your baseline. So what I like to call a baseline is the amount of power that you're going to be using throughout a day on just a daily basis. So these are normally things that are needs, not wants. So I won't put the coffee machine and the air fryer into this one. We'll use that calculation later. So let's calculate your baseline. So for us, our baseline, we're running lights every day. That's just to be able to see us doing stuff. We're running water pumps to drink water and stuff. These are needs. We run the fridge, yada yada. We also work from our caravan, so we're charging laptops. That's a big one. And we also run a Starlink. These things aren't the most efficient things. They definitely draw a lot of power. So our baseline is around 16 amps every hour that we're awake during the day. 16 amps every hour. So that's our baseline. Plus, while we're sleeping, our fridge is using about 4 amps, right? So for fridges, everyone's got a fridge. I like to throw 4 amps to 5 amps at them per hour. That's a nice average consumption rate, and that goes across little fridges, big fridges. They're all around that 4 to 5 amp hours every single hour. So now I've got my baseline. We need to times that baseline. I'll put a little calculator up on the screen just here. So we need to calculate our baseline. So let's say 12 hours of the day, we're running 16 amps worth of stuff for them 12 hours. So we need to do 16 times 12. Now that's for the daytime hours. For the other 12 hours, the fridge is running while we're sleeping. So that's going to be using around 5 amps. So let's plug that in and see what we come up with. Rightio guys, so our baseline per day, so that's just the stuff that we need, is 252 amp hours. So that's how much batteries we need. We need 252 amp hours worth to achieve just our bare bones daily lights, pump, fridge, just the basic stuff. You can see how quickly it adds up. Okay, let's talk about appliances. Everyone wants to run them. So first of all, let's have a look at the air fryer. Now, this is a big air fryer. As you can see, this one is actually 1700 watts. So when you're choosing the right size inverter, this appliance would run off a 2000 watt. We've got a 3000 because we like to run a few things at once. So 1700 watts. You're probably thinking to me,
Okay, Keelan, how much is 1700 watts in amps?
So I'm going to give you an equation that you need to remember. Power, which is watts, so 1700 is referring to the power, equals voltage times amperage, right? So we know the power, we know the voltage because it's a 12 volt system. We need to divide 1700 by 12 volts.
For the purpose of keeping it really simple, I've used 12 volts, but the nominal voltage of a lithium battery is normally around the 12.8 volts.
Now, the answer to that is 140 amps. That's referring to the amount of current that this appliance is going to draw per hour, so amp hours. 140 amps this is going to draw off the 12 volt batteries. If you were to plug this in on 240 at home, it would only draw around 8 amps. The lower the voltage, the higher the current if you transpose the equation. So we run the air fryer for about 30 minutes per night. So given the maths, you divide 140 by 2, we're having to add 70 amps to our baseline just to run the air fryer per day. So 250 plus 70, that gives us 320 amps. And that's not even getting into the coffee machine, so let's get into that. Rightio, let's calculate the coffee machine. So this is a Breville Barista Pro. This is 1680 watts, so 1680 watts in this thing. Given our equation, P equals VA, we know the power, we know the voltage, divide them, it's 139 amps. This thing uses every hour that we run it. So we have roughly 5 to 6 coffees every morning, just me, and then Sarah has a couple as well. So I reckon we're running this thing. It takes about 3 minutes to make a coffee. So let's just say half an hour every day we're running the coffee machine. That's another 70 amps of battery storage that we need just to achieve our day-to-day stuff. As you can see, everyone's baseline is going to be different. Ours is definitely on the higher end. All right, so straight off the bat, I've just done the quick math in my head. 392 amps of battery storage we need to just achieve our day-to-day lives. So that's not even including the Sirocco fans that we sometimes run at night, the 12 volt TV that we run pretty much every night. So we're probably up around that 400 amps every single day. So it is very important that you calculate your baseline, what you use on a daily basis, because that governs what you should put into your battery system. 200 amp hours for us wouldn't be enough. 400 amp hours wouldn't be enough. So that's why we've selected the 600 amp hour system, and these are the calculations that you need to be making before you design your 12 volt system, because you know it's going to work. You give a man a fish, he eats for one day. You teach a man to fish, and he eats for a lifetime. These are the things that I'm trying to teach you guys to help you make these decisions for yourself, so you can even go seek that electrical advice and you already know the principle behind what you're talking about. So we've chosen 600 amp hours because we need 400 amp hours. So I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking to yourself, you are right, you're thinking to yourself, okay, Keelan.
So I'm only talking about the charge coming out of the battery in relations to loads. I'm not talking about the solar that's coming in simultaneously at the same time.
And you're right. So let's talk about how much solar we need now. So a lot of the times the batteries are fully charged. So the solar is just running the electricity straight through and feeding all the appliances. Now that's a perfect world. Now solar.
Point your fingers at what's next, Emma, what's next?
Batteries is misunderstood. Solar is even more misunderstood. Experts get this one wrong. Solar and knowing how much solar to put on your roof literally comes down to experience, because it's quite counterintuitive. Even the amount that we carry isn't enough, and I'm going to explain why that is. All right, so if we've got 400 amps of outgoings per day, you're probably thinking, 99% of people will think,
okay, Keelan, we need 400 amps to come in solar to make it a nice balanced equation.
Let's use 200 watt solar panels to make it really easy. Each 200 watt solar panel, you get roughly 10 amps out of every hour. So how many hours per day is there daylight? There's 12 hours per day that there's daylight. So each solar panel, so 10 amps times 12 for every hour of the day, you should expect to see 120 amps per solar panel per day. Is that reasonable to think?
Oh yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
That's probably what 99% of people would tell me. So if we're getting 120 amps per panel, to replenish 400 amps, we'd need around 4 panels, and we're in the green. I'm going to tell you why you're horribly, horribly wrong.
Aww.
And this is something that we've learnt since being on the road. Principle of operation, right? So over the years, I've learned that solar panels are horribly inefficient, especially if you choose a solar panel that's flat and they just glue it to your roof. Everyone's seen them. They look epic. They're slimline. They're flat. There's nothing to them, but there's no heat sink. So solar's inefficient enough, and then you go slap no heat sink on it. Like I said, you're good as boobs on a bull, because you're going to get no charge. Your 200 watt solar panel is actually 80 watts when it's in full sun and it's heating up. So I 100% suggest you getting proper house panels that have a heat sink on them. They're the most efficient ones that I recommend. And yeah, this is why 4 panels is horribly wrong. One thing that really affects the efficiency is heat. Once they heat up in the middle of the day when the sun's on them, when you should be harvesting the most amount of solar, your solar panels are derating because when they heat up, they don't produce as much power. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, yes, you got 12 hours of daylight in a day, but you only have 6 hours of daylight in the day where it's actual optimal sun angle, where you can actually get enough charge into your batteries that's worth having, pretty much. So 8 o'clock in the morning, yes, it's light outside, but the sun's not even in line with the top of the van yet. It needs to get another 20 degrees higher before it even hits the solar panel. So really, in a perfect world even, 6 hours a day is good. That's optimal. All right, so all of a sudden we're gonna need a lot more solar panels than just 4. Okay, solar panels are great. On the box it says you're gonna get 10 amps out of it. You put it on the roof, you drive down the road, they get dusty. As soon as you get any dust on them, not to mention a rogue pigeon that's just had a big night out on the Indian curries come through and just lays a fat shit across the whole roof of your caravan, you're gonna get like 2 amps less off every panel that you have. So you can see how ineffective and inefficient solar is. It is such an awesome green energy, however, it is so inefficient. Plus, the number one killer is actually trees. 99% of campsites around Australia, believe it or not, have trees. And trees shade panels, and even the slightest bit of shade on your panel can wipe out entire solar panel, depending on what solar panels you have. So shade is the biggest arch nemesis to solar panels. It's almost like the Joker and Batman. They hate each other. They don't get along. So as you can see, you could have 6 hours of perfect sun in a day, but you've got dust, pigeon shit on your panels, and there's shade. So you're only going to get 3 hours a day. And this is stuff that salespeople won't tell you because they want you to buy the battery. I'm telling you, line the roof with solar panels. You won't regret it. So in reality, to replenish 400 amp hours of charge in a day, without doing the exact math on it, you're probably going to need around 6 panels, at least 5 anyway. And that's a good day of solar charge too. I hope everyone's still awake. I know it isn't the most exciting thing. This video is purely trying to help as many people as we can. I know a lot of people love our 12 volt videos. So hopefully you're staying along. And if you are enjoying it and finding it valuable, please hit the subscribe button. It means the most to us and it keeps us making videos like this and helping as many people as we physically can. So the next bit of advice I'm going to give you is arguably one of the most valuable pieces that I've ever learned, and that is simultaneous charge is the bomb. So when I say simultaneous charge, I mean if you've got a DC to DC regulator and you've got car charging the DC to DC, a lot of the regulators only allow car charge or solar charge, not both at the same time. So what we've done in this setup is split up with MPPT regulators. So the solar come in into the batteries on a totally different system than the car alternator charge. And what that means is when we're traveling on a beautiful sunny day, we've got 40 amps coming from the car. We've also got 55 amps coming from the 5 210 watt panels on the roof. We can have almost 100 amps of charge every single hour. So if we run our batteries all the way down because we're running the aircon all day, the next day we don't have to drive the car for nearly as long, and it means we can stay off grid for longer because we're recharging it quicker. And that goes back to that point. Battery system is awesome. Like, batteries are awesome. The harder your system is the solar panels, the alternator charge, and the regulators that are putting the charge into the batteries. The batteries are just a means to store the energy. Don't let anyone tell you any different, because that's the honest truth. If all this jargon's going over your head, just go to your Auto Sparky or whoever's doing the work and say, Keelan told me to get simultaneous charge in my system. I want the solar to be able to charge at the same time as the car, and they'll know exactly how to make that happen. All right, guys, so I've spoken, my voice is absolutely cooked. We've spoken about the system that we're running. We're running, obviously, the 600 amp hours. We've run ITECHWORLD products in our first caravan, our second caravan, and our third caravan. This one, we've run it in our first car and second car. We've run their batteries under the bonnet. We've run them on lead acid chargers. We've literally tested them, all the wrong things to do to a battery and 12 volt gear, and they are highly reliable. We absolutely swear by them. They're also really affordable, especially right now. They're having a massive end of financial year sale. So our code SKT will get you an extra 5% off. It's also a good way you can support us and our channel. Right now is the cheapest it's going to be, up to 90% off. So get in right now and you'll save the max amount of money all year long. So definitely do that. Start of the video, we said you could win a $1,000 ITECH 120X lithium battery for your setup. The first step, you just have to hit that red button below that subscribes to our channel. It's absolutely free to do. Plus, there's a link in the description. All you have to do is enter your email address into the link and you've subscribed to ITECHWORLD as well. They're the 2 steps to be in the running. Absolutely free. I hope you win. It's an amazing giveaway. We love this system, but all this means absolutely nothing if you don't go watch this next video and how people rip you off in the industry because you don't know this stuff.